I'm Felina.
And I'm Summer.
And you are listening to Broken Broken.
Because we're both.
The podcast about living your best life by getting real.
What's up, broken people? This is Felina.
And this is Summer. And it's been a minute since we've both been together on the air. We've been at the beach.
We've been on vacations and just taking a break from the day-to-day grind. So we're just going to give you life updates today.
So where did you go, Felina?
I took my daughter to Puerto Vallarta for her 10th birthday, a little early birthday present, and it was really magical, and she was so brave. I was so proud of her. I'm going to, brag about my kid for a minute, because, it's really important to me that I teach her to be brave,
Mm-hmm.
and because the world is looking harsh and terrible, and she's so sensitive. She's got this sweet heart, and she gets scared real easy. And so I have to teach her to face her fears and be brave. Because to be brave is to be afraid and do it anyway.
Right.
And so I really focused on teaching her that because she is so timid. And so we went to Puerto Vallarta, and she did so many new things that she had never done before. She, the coolest of all of them, I'll just go ahead and give that away. We went ziplining.
Oh, cool.
Through the mountains in Puerto Vallarta. We did 10 zip lines and did those through jungle, way up high from one mountaintop to another mountaintop. And so we were terrified when we first got up there. I was fucking scared.
Right.
And it was sweaty and uncomfortable and, just all those things, and we couldn't understand the instructions because they were all in Spanish, and his English was really poor. But we did it, and she did it, and she loved it. I was just so proud of her.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it really, really was. It was her idea, and she got there, and she didn't know she could do it, but then she did it. But she pulled it together and did it. I'm so proud of her.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, but she's never gotten in the ocean. She got in the ocean. Yeah, so we went to this remote part of the area south of Puerto Vallarta called Yalapa.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a real hike up to a waterfall that has a lagoon at the bottom of it. And the water, it looks dirty because the sand on the bottom of the lagoon is brown, whatever, but it's really clear once you get in. But she was so scared. But, nice, cool mountain water dripping from falling from the mountains, and so it's so hot, the water feels so good, and she was scared at first, but then she got in, and then she didn't want to get out, and it was just
That's good.
facing lots of fears, and doing new things, and it was a really great experience, but I am fucking exhausted.
Oh, I'm sure.
When I go on vacations like that by myself or with a girlfriend, I chill out.
Right.
And there was no chilling out. She's a kid. She wants to be entertained and do stuff all the time. So, the one day we just, chilled at the resort was still, real active. We're in the pool and swimming around and playing games and stuff. So, it was a lot, but it was so much fun. I don't think she'll ever forget it.
Oh, I'm sure. That's great.
Yeah, where did you go? You recently went on vacation.
I did.
Right?
Just got back from Florida. So this was my first time. It was also my first time in the ocean. So So we stopped on the way out there, and so I got to see the Gulf for the first time, and then we ended up in Cape Canaveral because my friend Annie, who's been a repeat guest on Broken, actually, she had a convention that she was going to down there, and so she invited me to jump in for the road trip. So I got to go into the Atlantic, and I got to see dolphins and manatees. So that was fun, and I've been obsessed with both the dolphins and manatees since I was 3 or 4. A family member gave me a book. I vividly remember. I don't remember much else about the book, but I vividly remember the one page. It was about baby animals, okay? And it had all these illustrations about, with baby animals with their mothers. And my favorite page on that book when I was 3 was the aquatic mammals. And so I loved the manatees and the dolphins, and so I've been like low-key obsessed with them for since. So don't think the books that you buy for your kids make no impression. It really does. So that was a lot of fun. And then we were out there. We were gone for almost a week because we did the road trip. We drove all the way out there and drove all the way back. So got to have fun. Just me and her and a friend of hers and her friend's 17-year-old niece. So it was just a little girls trip. With no kids, which I never do. This is really the only the second vacation I've ever had in my life. So it was a pretty big deal in my world. But
yeah, no, that's awesome. That's great.
I did have a meltdown the day before we left because I was packing and I tried on a bathing suit for the first time in 3 years. And honestly, objectively, it was not bad. Like, the thing still fit me. It was not bad. But I was hormonal because I had PMS and I was in my feelings, and I was already in my feelings because I had had a friend visit me just the week before, and there had been an issue like where I had put on lingerie that he had asked me, because he had specifically asked me to do that, and then he fucking ignored me.
Oh.
Yeah. So no, we've actually not had a conversation about this still to this day because it's no.
Well, can I tell him to fuck off right now so he ever listens to this?
Go ahead if you want.
Dude, don't fucking do that to women.
Right?
Like, that's not cool. That's gaslighting in a sense, you know. You're sending the message that you don't appreciate the way you look and you requested it. That's fucked up.
Right?
Fuck you, don't do that.
Right.
Apologize.
And I think he was trying to bring it up indirectly, like a couple days later before he left town, and I'm just like, I don't want to. Right? I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. Like, if you don't want me, I don't want it. And you need to, and you can go, which, I mean.
You don't need that shit. You don't need that shit. Now,
So,
every man, if you're willing to get naked in front of a man, he can worship the ground you walk on.
right? So anyhow, that was my headspace. So I was already upset. And so I had a little mini breakdown. But it was okay, like, because I know when I'm being irrational and ridiculous. So I wasn't like devastated or anything. But I went on Twitter, and I know a lot of our listeners follow me on Twitter, so they may have seen that meltdown. because what happened was I just I joke about things. Like, when I'm upset about something, I joke about it. That's just how I deal with stuff. So I went on and I said something about, my tweet was something like, tell me something happy or good news that's going on with you, because I'm in a weird space because, I just tried on my bathing suit and it didn't go well. Okay, it was just like a little sideways joke. I did not ask for fucking advice, but apparently people can't resist. And they start.
Okay, so what they have to say?
Oh God, they're doing the whole platitudes about it's what's on the inside, and I'm like, first of all, fuck you, because that is not helpful. Secondly, I didn't ask for advice; I asked for a distraction. So if you can't give me that, don't talk to me.
Internet.
I did go. I considered after I felt better. Deleting the thread, but I decided to leave it up there, but because I was rather rude to people. And I am not sorry because y'all were out of line. But some people were nice and did give me like happy things, good stuff that was happening in their lives, or animal memes, which are always good. But
yeah, I mean, whatever, fuck off.
But I think it is important to understand when people say, when people are struggling or they're going through a difficult time, if they are not asking for advice, don't give it to them. Like, that's a general rule. Just don't.
Support is way better than advice.
Right, exactly. And one person did say something, and I think they were well-intentioned, but they were like, yeah, but just think, if you start exercising now and eating better, you can change that. And that was the one I was really rude to. And I'm like, because I'm like, well, first of all, why are you assuming that Right, because I'm like, first of all, why are you assuming that I need or want to lose weight? Like, it's not a
Like, I
weight
like myself
issue.
the way I am.
Right, which, I mean, I know what my issue is. My issue is I am heavier than I want to be, but I can't lose down to where I want to be because my immune system stops working. So I'm heavier
Yeah.
because I'm healthier at this weight. But that doesn't make me not get pissed off about the fact that, about the loss of control there, right? Because I would like to be at the weight I like how I look,
Right.
you know.
Well, you know, but it's more important to be healthy, and I think that's the message. And then, you know,
Yeah.
it's annoying that someone like just assumes that because you're heavier, you're unhealthy. Like, that's a fallacy. You can be skinny fat.
Yeah.
You can be, you know, fat and strong.
And I really think that that idea of just equating being thin with health is really damaging a lot of people's health.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's such a given that that's, like, not a good adage to adhere to, but, you know, people still do it, obviously. Like this girl who posted that. So maybe your strong reaction, you like how I say strong reaction, was, you know, maybe she'll learn a lesson from it, and next time won't say something like that and think twice, and, you know, maybe you played a little part in getting rid of that fallacy, at least in one person.
Well, I hope so. Maybe something positive can come from my breakdown.
I think something positive comes from everything that happens.
I hope so. And that's one thing that I did say. I'm like, you know, we are allowed to not always like everything that's going on in our life or with ourselves. It doesn't mean like,
I mean,
and that's okay. That's a normal, healthy thing. I'm not being self-harming. I'm not like, you know, doing, you know.
This is your kids. You're having a bad day. You want some, like, you know, funny memes.
Right. Like,
yourself. Right, yeah.
that's okay. I just, I feel like it's become such a common thing of the positive thinking where you're never allowed to express dissatisfaction with anything. And I feel like that's equally damaging.
Oh, yeah, that's totally unrealistic. I mean, yeah, you can still love your life and have a bad day. Like,
right.
You're allowed to have bad days.
We're all going to, because that's just how life works.
We'll have bad hair days, we'll have bad emotional days, bad days where we feel fat and uncomfortable in our skin.
Right.
You know.
And it's okay to talk about that and find your people that'll be supportive of that.
I'm not super happy with where I'm at right now. I've been eating like shit. My stomach hurts all the time. I know I need to get healthy.
Right.
You know? I know what I need to do, but I'm going to bitch about feeling shitty, you know? Like, I don't want somebody coming at me and telling me, well, you should really fast for a week or something, you know? Like, well, fuck off. Like, I know what I need to do, but I'm just having a bad day.
Right.
I feel good right now, and I want to bitch about it just a little.
Right. And that's okay. It's helpful sometimes to just, you know, release a little bit out of that pressure valve.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's new with you? You're starting a new job, right?
Yeah, so Monday I will be starting my new job as a cannabis attorney.
Exciting!
Yes, I'm so excited. I have never been this excited to start a new job in my entire life.
Oh, I'm so happy for
so
you.
Exciting. So exciting. Already sending me emails about, like, I realized, you know, I did advertising and public relations before I went to law school.
Right.
And I realized how much I missed the social aspect of that.
Oh.
And
okay.
The interaction, clients, networking, like, I'm still good at all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've been being kept in a, you know, worker bee closet for the last, like, 3 or 4 years. Right. And so I'm very excited to be put back out into the business world. You know, and maybe it was good that I kind of got benched for a bit because I learned a lot about myself. I'm much more mature now.
Mm-hmm.
Learned a lot about, you know, growing up as an only child, you don't always pick up on social cues as quickly as others. I think that's pretty common. And, I mean, honestly, if I'm honest with myself, like, I think I was just behind a little bit and
Okay.
some things that were appropriate, inappropriate, and didn't. I don't know. Like, I think I just am more intuitive now to read people better. So I'm just really excited to get back out there and network and learn more about the industry and have clients and build relationships. So I'm pumped about all of it.
That's
I think
exciting.
all the time.
That's exciting.
Oh yeah,
Congratulations.
no, thank you. Yeah, I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday, and I was just like, you know what? Like, I fucking deserve this. Like, sometimes we don't always take a moment to go, like, yeah, like, I earned this. I deserve this. Good things are happening to me. Like,
Right.
and I'm going to focus on the good things and be happy about it and recognize this opportunity. And I worked my ass off to get here, too. But I deserve this. Like,
Yeah.
so it just feels good to get, hard work paying off and feeling like I'm having some level of success in my career, and doing something that I enjoy and care about. Like,
Right. Something that's meaningful to you, because this has been such an important thing for you.
Yeah, I mean, that has always been the goal, and it's taken a while to kind of figure out what that would be. But I don't know. Like, I'm a cannabis attorney, and I'm a musician, and a single mom, and I feel like a badass most of the time. And sure, I have my problems, but I am cool as shit. I'm a cool chick. I've worked really hard. So yeah, I'm gonna celebrate myself. Like, I'm fucking happy.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, and our last episode, I was reflecting upon the loss of my mother. Found that letter from her, and that stuff was so heavy and hard, and I went through it, and I've grown so much, and I think that the good things happening to me in my life, it's not just karma. It's also about, I guess you could call it just karma, but I think a lot of it is just me changing and growing from those experiences, and now I'm bringing in good energy into my life, as a result of those experiences. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, I don't mean to rub my good fortune in anyone's face by any means, because I think sometimes we don't celebrate ourselves, or at least I have held back from celebrating myself sometimes because I never want to make anybody else feel bad.
Oh,
but right
same.
Now, but
yeah.
right now, I'm just gonna enjoy this little victory in my life and where I'm at, because I'm real happy about it.
You really should. But yeah, I don't know why do you think that's just social conditioning, especially with women? Because I don't see a lot of men who feel guilty about celebrating their achievements, but a lot of women I know struggle with that.
Well, I know plenty of women who also have no issue of celebrating how awesome they are either. And sometimes it's unwarranted, and I think those women have left a bad taste in my mouth.
That's fair. That's fair. But do you think maybe it's part of that people pleasing thing, and maybe people who are people pleasers tend to do it less or something? I don't know.
Oh, I just know that how, well, you know what? I think when I've been on the other end of it, where things weren't going great for me, and they're going super great for someone I know, and they celebrated their victory in front of me, it was my own fault for feeling insecure or jealous or whatever I felt that didn't allow me to share in their joy.
Right.
But I guess at the same time, I'm anybody who's struggling like that, I just didn't feel that way because I had so much of my own shit going on.
Yeah.
And, I just wouldn't ever want anybody who's in a different place in their life than me, in their journey and their growth, to feel bad about where they're at, because it's, just because I'm sitting here celebrating this, win and positive place that I'm at, I have been through so many dark places too.
Right.
It's important to remember anytime you see somebody succeeding and doing well in their life, you don't know what else they've been through to get there.
That's
you
true.
know?
Yeah. I mean, I've been thinking about that because I don't know if you saw the post because it went up while you were out of the country. But a pair of my earrings, this art piece that I made, is just been taken into a collection in the Smithsonian.
Oh wow, that's awesome! I didn't see that.
And this has been in the works for quite a while now, but they've been shipped there now, and they've received them, and I finally signed the contracts and everything, and um,
That's
or it's
awesome.
technically a deed because I had to sign over ownership to them. Um, and which nobody cares except for the legal people who are listening, but
Right.
um and but I felt really weird about posting it for some reason because I felt like if somebody, I guess because I know artists who have worked so much harder than me and for so much longer, I felt, I felt a little weird. Like, am I, gonna make them feel some way? And I don't know why that is.
Yeah, I'm a musician, and obviously I've got the day job as an attorney, and sometimes I feel a little bit bad when I have a success musically, or
Mm-hmm.
snag a good paying gig or whatever. But at the same time, like, art in general is not just about the end result of what you've created. People are interested in the artists themselves, and I think you and I are both interesting people in general. So,
True.
it's not just about. I mean, it's who made it. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Right,
So
and they like the story behind it. That's why she wanted in there because it's in a I don't have it in front of me the exact name of the collection, but it's basically political and social history sort of thing. But that's why she
yeah,
wanted them because I made them. I originally wore them when I accepted the Human Rights Award, from the city of Norman in 2016, and I've worn them all over the place, all over Oklahoma, because I go and I do these speaking engagements, or I'll go to these events for missing and murdered Indigenous women, to raise awareness, and so the colors are related to that, and they became they're very striking and dramatic, and so they would start conversations and kind of became a catalyst for a lot of awareness with regards to that issue. And so that's why she wanted them. It wasn't like, oh, my art's that wonderful. Although they are quite nice looking. It was really, more about the backstory behind them. So,
yeah, but that's what makes it, great art as well. Again,
right.
it's about art tells stories.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, so that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Totally celebrate that. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's kind of exciting. So,
So look at us having like great days and happy things and happy news, because there's been plenty of times that we've been on this show and been sad or distraught or recounted trauma or
oh yeah,
whatever.
I was literally broken from walking too much after my car got repoed. If you remember that.
Yeah, yeah,
That was like
yeah.
what 6 months ago. That was not long ago.
Yeah, so I think it's really good that we have these updates just to like remind people and remind ourselves that uh, you know good stuff is always around the corner. And we're all just kind of laughing and struggling at laughing at our struggles along the way
Right.
as best we can, and just hang on tight. It'll turn around no matter what it is. It's a nice reminder. I think it's good we share the good stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
because
know,
it is
and
important to remember if you keep going, these things can change and things can get better.
yeah, 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 definitely don't want to, ever convey a defeatist attitude, and I don't think we do at all.
No.
But it's just nice to see and hear about these real life victories happening to us, two ladies who are, a little unique, a little different than the average attorney slash lady in general. I'm a weirdo. I'm a little different. I'm a little unique. It's fine. I
It's
like
fine.
myself.
It's fine. Weird is good, I think.
Yeah, well, finding and owning your weirdness is good. You know, it takes a minute to figure out who you are, and I don't know, like getting comfortable with your own weirdness, your own uniqueness is kind of like, it's really liberating, and I think it draws people to me. Like, you know, the more I am accepting of myself, the more others are too, and in turn, I end up having, you know, lots of great opportunities and people drawn to me and attracted to me because I am comfortable in my own skin.
And I think people who are that comfortable with themselves are also tend to be less judgmental.
Yeah,
Because you're more open, and I think that draws people as well because they don't have to have that fear of, you know, is this person going to judge me harshly or, you know, be something.
No, you know, I've always been told that I'm not judgmental, and I've known that about myself because it's judging others for their choices has never been something that I've felt like was an appropriate reaction to any news that I received. Like, that's just not a natural response for me.
Right.
I never behaved that way. I never have. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, and I have to credit some of that to my mom because, you know, she, you know, reminded me every day of my life to, you know, that I was wonderful and perfect and amazing and how much she loved me. Like, I grew up knowing how much I was loved and how special I was and how unique I was and how I could do anything in the world. And so, you know, not everybody gets that message. It doesn't sink in, unfortunately.
That's true.
I tell Sophia that all the time, and like, she's kind of got a little cocky attitude that I'm totally okay with. Because like sometimes I'll be like, did you know that you are so wonderful, or did you know that you're so kind or beautiful or smart or whatever? And she's like, yeah, I know, you tell me every day. And I'm like, yeah, like, you know, somebody will say that she's cute. Like, I know. Like, and I kind of love it. I'm like, yeah, go girl. Like, and that girl's got some leadership skills.
That's awesome.
I don't like it when people call her bossy because I'm like, girl is organized. Like, she sees the big picture. She's got strategy down. Like,
those are,
if there's a thing to plan, like, Sophia's like, okay, well, you do this and you do that. Like, she just automatically fits into that leadership role.
That's important life skills right there.
Right on. And that needs to be called leadership skills in girls and not bossy.
Right.
That,
absolutely.
You know, that's very natural. And I mean, sometimes I have to rein her in. I'm like, hey, Sophia, maybe you don't need to play all the games you want to play. Like, let's listen to. And part of being a good leader is also listening to, you know, the other people you're with and letting, you know, taking in their ideas and creating compromises.
Right.
You know, I don't want to raise a little Hitler.
Right. Oh, I had to talk to my 16-year-old the other day about, even though you're right, you still have to be careful how you say that to people.
Yeah.
Because what happened was him and his little girlfriend broke up, apparently. Only he didn't tell me until I had already invited her to an event, because that's what we've been doing for months. And I'm like, okay, so we have to work on our communication too. But apparently she had asked him something about, along the lines of, you know, if he wants to marry her and be with her forever and have babies and all of this. Fortunately, he's smart enough to know, they're 16. Why on earth are they even would they even be thinking about that? And I'm very proud of him for that. And he told her that, and I'm very proud of him for telling her instead of lying to her and telling her what she wanted to hear, so that he could, you know, keep her, like a lot of guys would have. Where I had to correct him was his response to her was, "That's stupid. Why would we even be talking about this at 16?"
Yeah, that baby wasn't so nice.
I'm like, that was not. I'm like, we got to work on some tact here. That was like, I'm not saying you're wrong. Like, you're right. Y'all shouldn't be thinking about that. But poor kid got it from me, so I don't know. But I am proud of him for first of all making a good decision, and secondly, handling it with integrity and not lying to her and, you know, telling her what she wanted to hear just so she'd stay around.
Right.
So we'll see if they stay apart or not. You know how teenagers are. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, we're hearing about your son's love life, but how's yours? we're updating our lives. So,
Well,
so
I mean,
going on to yours.
like I told you, I had a friend come stay for a couple weeks. That went mostly okay, except for that little hiccup. Um, so that's nice. I'm not really. It's pretty uneventful right now. Most of the guys that I was involved with are kind of faded out, and I haven't replaced them. So I guess I need to do that at some point because I'm gonna need to get some.
I mean, they're not always necessary. I have been on a break from men for a while, it seems like. I kind of had a little rendezvous with someone recently, but it was, nobody I would actually consider dating. But I actually have kind of gotten to the point, I think it was because when I went on vacation with Sophia, it's a little lonely. Like,
Right.
parenthood is pretty lonely because, like, you have little being around you all the time, and you need to help them and care for them. And it would be nice to have an adult conversation to break that up.
Right.
Maybe someone else to get a glass of water when you don't feel like getting out of bed, whatever, like it just starts to get a little lonely. And I'm thinking it's been a little over 8 years since I dated my ex who was garbage.
Right.
And I think I might be, like, approaching, like, I knew at the beginning of this year that I wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm.
But not tomorrow, what am I saying? I'm not going to be ready, like, tomorrow. But I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to ease into something. Like, it'd be kind of nice to meet someone and have an actual relationship with them.
Oh, really?
Now the problem is, I think I'm kind of wanting that. And I think the problem, I kind of go through phases. I go through, ups and downs when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, and I try to just listen to my gut when it comes to that stuff, because if I'm not, naturally, like, attracting anybody, that must mean that I'm just not ready. I'm just not in a good place for it right now. And, but now I'm kind of feeling like I want it, kind of starting to put myself out there a little bit more. Not so afraid to get hurt.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it boils down to for me, is that, like, when I feel super guarded and fearful, like, I don't open up. I won't put myself out there. I don't take rejection well, in a good mental space for it.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling so, now I'm like, okay, like, if somebody doesn't like me back, that's fine. I think I'm still willing to start putting myself out there a little bit more.
All right.
Just feeling a little more brave.
You'll have to keep us updated on the process and how that's going.
Yeah, we'll see how it flows.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's my hesitation with finding a new guy is, like I said, I have my friends around here, but they, things have been busy and we haven't been seeing each other and all of that. But I don't really want a relationship, and so it's like it's hard to find somebody who you can spend time with and do things with that doesn't want to eventually date or be in a relationship. And I just haven't had the emotional energy to expend and going through all that, like talking to people and sorting through that and being like, that's not what I want. Like, so I've just been doing nothing instead.
Yeah, I kind of have a friend who I work with who, like, we have sort of a pseudo relationship. We don't, nothing romantic, but we spend a lot of time together and communicate, daily, and that's been kind of nice. But I think it's also just making me realize that I do want more.
Mm-hmm. Well, you guys heard it. You guys heard it. If anyone's interested, Felina.
But, again, the kicker is that I need someone who's good enough for me. And that sounds a little arrogant, but at the same time, I know my worth now, and I don't think I always have in the past.
Right.
And so I know what I'm worth now. I'm just not going to settle for someone who's like, well, I'm just not going to settle, period.
Right. Well, you need to be on the same page and in the same place, have the same goals. Otherwise, it just becomes conflict. That's pointless, and life's too short to deal with that.
No, it is. And I'm happy on my own. So, like, I don't really, it's just not a priority. But, I do want it. But I just don't need it. There's a big difference.
Oh, I don't think it's healthy to need it.
No, that's called codependency.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever mastered, not being codependent until recently. So now I'm like, okay, I think I can maintain my independence and be in a relationship. Maybe this is the time where I finally figure out how to have a relationship, because I actually like myself. So
Right.
that's
Well, I hope you find somebody that you can have a lot of fun with. I think it'll be great.
All right. Well, let's go live our lives. I just hope everybody has a positive, wonderful week, and celebrate your victories loudly and proudly.
And share them with us if you
Supportive.
want. Share them with us
Yes,
if you want.
please.
You can contact us, and we'd be happy to celebrate with you.
Yes, please share your good news.
You can contact the podcast at brokebrokenpodcast@gmail.com. The Broken Broken podcast can be found online at www.brokebrokenpodcast.com, on Twitter at brokebroken.show, on Instagram and Facebook at brokebrokenpodcast. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and YouTube.